Someone sent me another Dave Ramsey video about Airbnb, and I have not seen this one yet. It's titled, Don't Screw Up Your Life with an Airbnb. And oh man, Dave, we have a lot to talk about today. I have royally screwed up my life over the past 4 years investing in short-term rental properties and listing them on Airbnb. My view on Dave, I think a lot of his advice is decent. I think it's helped a lot of people. However, my view on what he teaches is not the same advice. Like, I would tell people, strive for financial freedom, invest in real estate, invest in cash flowing assets, use leverage for assets that create cash flow, not so much just like get out of debt and invest in a good mutual fund, you know? So anyways, we're gonna watch this video. I'm gonna give you guys some commentary throughout and let you know my honest opinion and thoughts.
Kathy is in North Carolina. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hello. Thank you, Dave, for taking my call.
My pleasure. You too.
Yes, and Ken, I think that's who you said, Ken.
Yes, it's me. I'm here, Kathy, today for you. What's
Thank
going on?
you. Okay, so my husband and I are retired. We're age 65 and 68. We live in a mortgage-free home that's valued at just under $500,000, and we're debt-free. Our yearly income is about $100,000 with retirement, Social Security, pension, and we have a $1,700 a month rental property that's all that is included in the $100,000.
Your phone broke up. Wait a minute. Stop. Your phone broke up. You have a $1,700 a month rental property. It's paid for too?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now I can hear you again.
And he has good. He has about $500,000 in thrift savings that invest conservatively, and his pension and our Social Security. That's what makes up the $100,000.
Okay, great.
So, we live in North Carolina, just off a very popular place called Topsail Island, and people flock here throughout most of the year. And I've been wondering if it would be smart to invest in an Airbnb rental, and the one I'm looking at is about $280.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to take out enough of his thrift savings to buy?
No, we'll borrow against our house.
No, you won't.
No.
No.
An equity line or anything like that would be
not.
smart.
You have a very good life. Don't go screw that up with an Airbnb.
Oh gosh, I just can't. I can't take Dave's advice without context. He doesn't know any of the information about Topsail Island. He doesn't know what the daily rates are, occupancy, how other properties are doing. Maybe it's an absolute home run. They could get 100% ROI in their investment. I get where he's coming from, though. They're retired, 65 years old, so he's saying don't leverage something that you already have paid off. You know, I get it, you know, just with them being a little bit older, maybe not taking on risk, taking on debt, borrowing against their home. However, the advice without context thing just kills me every single time on his radio shows. Like, terrible.
I knew you were going to say.
She's like, I knew you were gonna say that. Why are you gonna call Dave Ramsey? You know exactly what he's gonna say. It's like you just want reassurance. I don't know.
If you want to buy an Airbnb, if you want to buy a rental for an Airbnb, take enough out of his thrift to do it. Pay cash for it.
Okay.
How long have you had this other rental?
Oh, goodness gracious. We've had it about 20 years.
Hey, can you tell me some tenant horror stories?
You know what? We have been so blessed. I've only had one of those.
Okay, good.
After all these years,
Keep in mind, when you have an Airbnb, you have a new tenant every 4 days.
Yes.
I don't know if Dave owns any Airbnbs. My gut tells me no. Do you get some bad guests every once in a while? Yeah. But they have another property, it sounds like it's paid for, that rents for $1,700 a month. If they move that money over to a quality Airbnb in a great vacation market, they would probably be cash flowing thousands of dollars per month. And his thing is, his shtick with Airbnb is always, oh, it's a horror story after horror story. People wreck your home. I own 8 Airbnb properties, and our homes stay in really great condition because we have amazing cleaners and we have maintenance, just like you would a long-term rental property. And actually, it's even better in most cases because the cleaners are in there every 2 to 3 to 5, 7 days. And you're not occupied 100% of the time in most cases. So in many properties, you actually get equal or less wear and tear as a short-term rental because you're in there so frequently and you can make adjustments on the fly. Whereas a long-term rental, let's say you have a tenant that's in there for 12 months, 24 months, maybe multiple years, and then they move out. That's not their home, and a lot of people don't treat it as such. So when they move out, you might have to like repaint the whole home, your carpet's messed up, maybe you have to redo the floors, redo the kitchen. A lot of people do not treat your home as you would, even as a long-term renter, just saying.
We're talking hassle factor, we're talking risk factor, damage, police being called, neighbors griping at you.
Depends on the neighbor. He has a point there. You also have to vet your guests because if you have bad guests that are rowdy throwing parties, which is very rare, then yeah, your neighbors may call you. I don't think we've ever had the police called on 8 properties in 4 years. We've called the police because we had a rowdy group of guests during COVID where there was a local group that was trying to throw a party and we just nipped it in the bud right then and there and got them out of the property. But him saying police are called all the time, your neighbors are going to be banging at your door, calling you every day is far from the truth.
All kinds of stuff that you hadn't even thought about. And we're talking about you're going to make a whole lot more money than you would have just rented that house. But you are getting ready to start a new small business. That's what renting an Airbnb is.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. And so this is not like, I'm going to just go to the mailbox and collect a bunch of checks because Airbnb is a big deal. No, it's not. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to set up the property. However, once it's set up and if you leverage the right software tools, you have the right teams like cleaning and maintenance, you can manage these properties in just a couple hours a week from anywhere in the world. I manage 8 and none of them are in the same state that I live in. I haven't been to most of the properties in 2+ years. So it really is like going to the bank and collecting a bunch of fat checks if you set up the right property and you know how to manage it well.
And they're going to tear up your property. You're going to put it back and then they're going to pay for it. And then you're going to be, it's a lot of work. It's very similar to running a hotel. I mean,
My husband is going to be so glad for when I tell him this.
Well, I wouldn't do it. Yeah, if I were in your shoes, you sound like you have a very simple, fun, clean life that's very secure. I wouldn't put this beehive in the middle of it if it was me. But if you want to go make some money, you can make some money with this.
At least he admits you can make some good money right then and there. But it's kind of contradicting what he said the entire first part of this segment.
And the only way you want to do it is to pay cash.
Just something to share with Kathy and other people that maybe get bit by the Airbnb bug and you think it's a sure thing.
You may be late to the party.
Yeah, you are, because we're seeing some new revenue data here. All the rooms, which kind of checks listings and revenue, we've seen significant drops this year compared to 2022. Places like Austin, Sevierville, Tennessee.
I know exactly what article you're reading. It's the one that talked about the RevPAR decline and revenues are down 50%. Dude, you're just reading some article you pulled up on Google without really diving into the data. I've done videos on this exact article, and it was comparing RevPAR data, which is revenue per available rental, for 1 month, May, comparison of 2022 to 2023. And yes, 2021 and 2022 were the post-COVID boom travel years. And so 2023 was down a little bit, especially in some of those big markets, the big rural markets, and then some of the bigger cities that just blew up, like Austin, Texas, Scottsdale, Arizona. He mentioned Sevierville, Tennessee. That's where the Smoky Mountains are. But if you look at the pre-COVID data to 2023, it's actually up and steady growth. Now, I'm not going to say that it hasn't gotten less competitive, because it has in almost every market in the world, because Airbnbs are popping up everywhere. However, if you set it up right and sell on value and the experience that you can provide guests, you're going to compete on value and not on price. So competing on price is a race to the bottom in any industry. But this guy talking like, oh, I'm just looking at the RevPAR data and it's revenue, everyone's getting killed. Not true. In fact, I have 2 Airbnbs in the Sevierville area, actually in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And in 2021 and 2022, they were way above normal cash flow wise. And I'll be the first to tell you that. 2023 subsided a little bit, but it was still decent, so it's not like, revenue was slashed like crazy and it was unexpected. I think where people got really hurt and don't understand is that they bought at the peak of the real estate market in 2022, and the peak is really the end of like that post-COVID travel boom where daily rates are through the roof because there was not enough supply for the demand out there. People were just booking and they didn't even care how much it costs. So again, you have to understand the data as an investor. When looking at this, don't just look at the past year or the past 6 months. You really have to understand what the track record's been over the past like 5 or so years and what the growth trajectory looks like going forward as well.
You're seeing 47% drop, San Antonio, Texas, 43% drop, Nashville, 39% drop, Denver, 38%, New Orleans, Seattle, Washington. There's more and more cities here. And so the point is there's a glut right now of people who got into these as investments, much like you're thinking about, Kathy.
Nashville's down?
Nashville's down
The
30%.
bachelorette party didn't keep it going?
Phoenix, Arizona's down because people don't want to burst into flames, apparently. Austin, Texas, one of the hottest cities.
In the flames.
Have you heard about
the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I mean, I'm telling you, it's so hot out there right now. People are reading about this. But anyway, here's the point. You're talking about major markets throughout the country where there is more supply than there's demand.
Talking about Nashville and Phoenix, I just redesigned one of my Nashville properties because it has gotten more competitive and our occupancy and daily rate was slowly actually going down. So we wanted to make sure, and we're not like right in the middle of downtown with this one. We just spent a bunch of money to redesign it. And this just goes to show you that you can still do really well in any market regardless how competitive it is. Because we relaunched at the end of December and I'm recording this video like mid-January. And since then, when we relaunched, we had no bookings in 2024. We relaunched and we've had over $50,000 of bookings in 3 weeks, as far out as October. So demand is absolutely still there. Yes, it's got more competitive, but it just stresses the importance, which I preach all the time, design and amenities and marketing and making sure you're priced right. If you do those 4 things right, you guys are gonna do very well. I also have one of my students, one of my many, invested in Scottsdale, Arizona, which that is one of the most saturated markets in the entire world. Everyone has a nice heated pool, a putt-putt course, like all these cool amenities. And they launched, and it's bachelorette themed even, so they're only focusing on one specific group. And they have every single weekend booked through September, and they launched 2 weeks ago. And that's in January. So that's pretty insane. So it's not so much, Airbnb's dead. It's just if you set up a really average or below average property, you're going to struggle.
It caught really quickly.
And there's starting to be a backlash, both politically, like people are calling zoning on it, and they're saying some cities have passed it's just illegal, period. And so I'm not sure that's constitutional, but a lot of zoning stuff's questionable. So they pull off all kinds of crap in the name of protecting other people. But it's called civilization, I think. But the bottom line is the Airbnb market is soft, and there's a lot more work involved and a lot more risk involved than people ascribe to it. If you properly address the market and say, given that it's soft, the article Ken's reading, given the high level of work and hassle and the risk of damage and the risk of the whole thing, and pay cash for it, if you embrace every bit of that and still want to do it,
pay cash for it. That doesn't make sense. Maybe at age 65, they're already retired, they have the money, or they have a property, they want to sell that one and move into Airbnb, pay cash. Makes more sense. But if you're younger, it makes no sense to not leverage and get more homes. You get more depreciation, you get more appreciation, and then your cash on cash and total return on your investment is going to be way higher overall. You're going to be able to scale faster.
On your team, go do it, because you'll make a lot more money. I'll give you another one, okay? If you want to make more money on residential real estate, buy cheap houses in bad ends of town. Low-income rentals give a much higher ROI, rate of return, rent to value, than high-income rentals do in the rich end of town. Rich end of town, you don't really make that much money on a rental. Doesn't do as good. But guess what? You've got a higher hassle factor. Right. You're dealing with people tearing up stuff. You're dealing with them running drugs or prostitution out of your house. You're dealing with all this other crap, potentially. I used to have a whole bunch of those properties. That's how I know. But I mean, I had one house that I paid $11,000 for. Now, this was a long time ago.
Right.
But I paid $11,000 for it, and the rent I got on it per month was $1,500. Now, you can't touch that, right?
That's tough.
But I'm telling you, man, I had to collect my rent on the doorstep every Friday afternoon, or they would snort it or drink it over the weekend. I mean, it was like, so it's you're just dealing with a different thing. So if you want to engage in hassle to make more money, you can engage in hassle to make more money, and that's Airbnb, right?
I've never gotten on from someone's front doorstep. Now, there's more technology today, of course, but I've never collected a check or gotten cash from somebody for an Airbnb. It's all automated through software. There's not near the amount of hassle factor that Father Dave is explaining here. The other thing too is this guy Ken and Dave are reading one article and they're making the assumption that the entire world of short-term rentals is saturated and you missed the boat. Well, if that were the case, my most profitable rental ever would not have been purchased in 2023, our most recent rental. We launched that property in April 2023, and it's been cash flowing $15,000 to $20,000 a month after all expenses and mortgages paid. And it's in a market that's very competitive. So you just have to build it right, and they will come. And you also have to set up your systems right, and you won't have another job for yourself. So my big gripe with Dave is he gives some good advice, but a lot of the times it's advice without context. It's just like quick, right, shooting from the hip. And this other guy, Ken, he needs to get off this show. He's garbage. He's just read some blurb that he found on Twitter, which I know exactly what article he's talking about. Anyways, if you guys want to learn how to do Airbnb the right way so it is not a hassle and it is hyper profitable, and you want to learn how to scale, give my page a follow. There's some more information in the description if you want to check out some of the mentorship or free resources that I have down there. Appreciate you guys watching.